Hi, and welcome to episode 8 of Let's Make a Game. This month we're building off and on a game, a simple light toggling puzzle game. This is the 8th hour and 8th episode of the development out of a 25-hour budget. In hour 7, we tried to test Android builds so that we could prepare getting a prototype of the game up on the Google Play Store, which we want to do early so that when we're towards the end of the 25 hours, we can focus just on bug fixes, polish, and any additional content towards the end and have these sort of non-development requirements out of the way. We did run into some issues with how our level loading resources were available that did not work on Android, so we needed to make some changes to get that working. And now we're going to make a few other small changes related to UI scaling between the desktop and mobile layout of the game. So, as a review, we're going to take a look at the build as it was. This is the correct intended layout of the build. And we can see by simulating specific resolutions of screen ratios, we can see how the scaling currently is not working well. We had a similar issue with the level select, which we have resolved. So a few issues that we could definitely work out, ways that we could improve this further. But our current state is that it is not entirely broken as it was before. This is what we're going to continue to work on. And here we can see how the layout is shrinking things too much, but we can take a cue from our layout of the level select. We want to have a similar setup in game here. This will accomplish with a few small tweaks. So in order to have better control of the sizing for the level select, we went with a row-based layout. Mostly because the UI grid layout doesn't handle sizing very well for scalable sizes. In particular, things like being able to specify the cell sizes not in absolute pixels, which cannot scale. So we're going to need to make a similar change to how we've laid out the game scene as well. We're going to work on that now. And the first thing we're going to do is remove what we did have, which were all prefab, so we'll be able to add those back to these new rows we're about to create. I create usually my sort of empty containers as panels, even though I'll go and remove those. So we're going to add a horizontal layout group controller, and we're going to duplicate that to create 5 rows. Actually, be a lot easier to go ahead and let's add our button to that, duplicating the 5 cells in each row, the 5 columns, and we'll duplicate that row. We'll include everything inside of it. And we're going to replace the grid layout group with a vertical layout group. Okay. And we don't necessarily need to scale these sort of editor controls, but because we will be testing the game in different resolutions and then using those, I want to do at least some minor support um, for a little bit of scaling. For the moment, our main concern is actually this quit button, which actually will be part of the final interface layout. Right? I'm gonna try this out, see if there's any additional wiring up that we'll need from the recreated grid cells. Right? Looks like everything is fine. Great. Go ahead and save this scene. Commit that. Identifying this commit as fixing the layout of gameplay to scale. Identify that task as complete in our notes. And now once again, we're going to try a build that we will test on our Android phone and then go through the process of setting up on Google Play. Alright. So first we're going to form the build, and we're just going to tick the version number up 1 for the bug fixes that were included. Okay, while that's building, I'll ensure the phone is prepared for receiving the new APK. Still running. This takes a little bit of time, not too long, but not immediate. Alright, I'm going to skip the step of automatically installing the APK via the Android tools, just because I'm not charging the phone directly from this machine mostly because I'm out of USB ports on this machine right now. But I also like to do the copy manually, which just ensures that I keep a copy of every version. So I'm going to use I'll share to move this over, and this time I should have a better way of actually demonstrating what happens. Do a screen share from the phone to this video recording. It should help to track what's going on a little better, so that it's actually visible. Okay. For future recordings, I'll work on the quality of this screen share, but it does operate much better than trying to hold the phone up in front of a camera. So it's definitely a step up. It has definitely room for improvement as well. So there might be a little strange conflict between the download tools from Google Drive and the actual file sharing or screen sharing being done at the moment. So I'm going to disable this temporarily and I'm going to bring it back now for the install. Okay, so it looks like anything requiring special permissions can't be operated through the screen share overlay, so I'm just going to do the install, let it run before I turn the video back on. Take a minute here. Okay, here we go. Alright. Layouts look like they're working. I do see the quit button. Quit button appears to be not appearing. So we can take a look at that. Oh, it is actually there, but still pretty small. See what we can do about that. I think that we want to make sure this is definitely scale proportional to the screen and not to any pixel size, which is a thing that I'm still learning the correct ways to do in this layout system that Unity UI provides us. And I think the trick here is that anchors are always proportional, and then sizing within or relative to those is more absolute. So if we want to say that these buttons take up 1/3 of the screen, then we're going to say that the anchors for the x-axis begin at 2/3 and at 3/3, and give us this box over here in the right third of the screen. And then the positioning that we're providing to that box is always going to be in proportion to that. I'll give it a little 10 pixel border around that. Then we'll check how that button scales on different screen sizes, and we see that on the smaller screens it's going to be a little unbalanced. And that's due more to the sizing of its parent panel. The thing we definitely want to put these three sections, the title, its bottom UI, and the gameplay grid, all on one vertical layout, which is something we're lacking right now. So we'll put that together. And we do still have our editing tools, which get in the way in the small layout, but that's not one that we're actually going to use when we're doing the editing, just one we're going to use while we're testing things, so I'm not very worried about that. Although to keep it out of the way, we just switch to a layout that we need. Still a little larger than we want. So rather than fix this as a taller thing, we're just going to fix it to the bottom. Give it a more of a fixed height. Allow the width to be relative. Okay, and now we're going to start taking a look at the Google Play Store. So I have only published a single Android app in the past through this account. Just the first Android app I've done myself, and this will be my second to publish. So we're going to start going through the process of registering a game or application on the Play Store, which is just a prerequisite for the release and something we want to get done because it's sort of a lot of tedious bookkeeping more than anything. And there'll be a few requirements that we'll take notes of, which we'll have to go back into our task list. And this may be things like screenshots that are required, creating a logo, icons. So we'll do as many of the parts as we can and take notes of the things that are required. Okay. So there are a lot of requirements for what needs to be put into a Google Play application registration before anything can be published. We need to do a little bit of copy for a short and full description, and this is something we want to make sure is written well because this is going to be essentially the first part of the main marketing aside from the imagery that any potential players will see. They require at least 2 screenshots of the game, which will sort of show off the play. We need a feature graphic, which is not necessarily a screenshot, but sort of a big splash page or splash image for the page, and this goes up at the top of the Play Store listing. We need a high resolution icon, which will then be converted to all the different icon formats and sizes across devices. And we also need to give some basic information about the type of app and the categories that it goes in, and all these and several other issues are things that we will need to be entering and to have spelled out. We need to go through a content rating questionnaire we'll save a draft of our current application details right now, which are pretty light. Go ahead and go through this content rating questionnaire. Since for a puzzle game, we're sure that this would be simple, but it's one of those many steps that are needed. Okay, well, we can't do this step until we've actually uploaded the APK. We should be able to do in this APK section. Each individual APK that you upload also gets then added to a production release or beta or alpha testing. We can promote them between them. So once we've uploaded one APK for beta testing, which we may make available to a whitelist of users, that particular version can then get promoted into the production channel to go live. And right now we're going to go ahead and upload this to the beta channel, so that we make sure that we're controlling the outgoing reception list. That's right. This was a debug build that we made, and the store will only allow production builds. We're going to get a second 061 build, which is a non-development tag. Move that -dev tag and do our new build. And while that's running, we'll take another look at what is required. So keep this where I can see it, and in the meantime, just think about copy text, which is important. Sort of promotional PR marketing writing is this is small, but you want to make sure that you're summarizing adequately the game that you're making, that you'll catch somebody's attention, make it sound fun and interesting with a very short amount of words. That's not always an easy thing to do. Need to shorten this one. Time we'll go ahead and perform that upload. Okay. This time the upload should go a little more smoothly. Make sure we download or upload the non-development build of 061. Looks like turning off development mode did not, in fact, sure what we needed. I understand this is making for extremely exciting video here. So all Android builds that are non-debugged need to be signed with a developer key. It's been a while since I've gone through this process. So right now I'm looking for the location of my previously used developer keys. So I believe I can create new ones, and so in the interest of time, I will attempt to do that. New release key, be locked with the password, and identify the creator and identity of the game. Okay, so we're going to identify the key that we're going to use, unlock that, both the key store and the individual key within that are key passwords. And with that, generate new builds. Nothing about this changed, so this is not a different version to identify. We just need to correct the one we've already built. So replace the previous 061 non-developer build. Okay, this is nearly complete, and we'll start the upload immediately when it's ready. Here we go, third time's the charm. Okay. So we won't be able to use this to distribute even to beta or alpha testers until we complete all the required steps of listing. That will require going through our content rating questionnaire, the store listing, the pricing and distribution options. We have to go through every single one of these as if we were creating a complete and final listing, even though we're only doing it internally. Okay, so we're going to go through the content rating questionnaire and get that out of the way. Does it contain a reference to or depictions of violence? No, it's just a puzzle game. Scary or horrifying? No. Sexuality? No. No gambling. There is no profanity or offensive language. Really, is not any language. Anything about controlled substances? No. Crude humor. And a of many things, and can safely say no, we don't really do anything in this game that would warrant any interest by any kind of rating question. Well, we still want to make sure that we do read and consider each of these to be sure for every upload, of course. Right, now we calculate rating, and here we go. Right, and that makes 2 out of our 4 checkboxes green. Still have descriptions and images to upload for the store listing. I believe pricing and distribution we can fill out now, and then we'll have 3 out of 4 checklists. This game is going to be uploaded for free on the Play Store when it's ready, so we're going to leave this. We are going to make it available in all countries. It's a pretty straightforward game with no need for language to play. No ads. Meet all guidelines and laws for some puzzle game, of course. We save draft of this section. We'll see whether or not we have completed it, and we have. Okay, so we've completed a lot of these steps. We're going to come back to the copy required after some time to think about the best way to market the game. We're also going to have to come back to add screenshots, feature graphic, and an icon after creating all of them. So we're going to add some of those items, but we've otherwise gone through that process, and we have about 15 minutes left. We've gone through a little bit of bug fixing, a little bit of bookkeeping with the player registration. Now we're going to round out this work session by working on a little bit of the asset side of things. In this case, working on our title or logo. Okay. Right, and for a little review, take a look at our sketches notes, where we have a sample of the, well, maybe not very sure. There's definitely a couple ways that a logo could go, but it's definitely sort of the working direction. We're going to try to create something like that that will look pretty nice. Put some guides in place so that as we're creating this, we can have an idea of where things are. The halfway mark right underneath here, and the vertical bar helping us to lay out the lettering. Then we're going to work on the sizing is exactly. Okay. Okay, so try some of the fonts available. For such a small title, I'm not going to honestly put a lot of work into this logo because it needs to be done efficiently. But we can get a lot of mileage out of some pretty simple groundwork for a logo like this. Okay, it's very plain, very simple. I think we can definitely spruce it up a little bit without adding too much additional work. What I help is to soften it up a little bit, just a little. think that this logo not demonstrating sort of what is a very minor theme of the game. I think we can do a little better. I'm going to try a little more of a contrast theme here. Okay, and I think this version is both simpler and better objectively, and also think that as much time as I'm interested in putting in and won't be able to put everything up just yet. We still need a bit more work before we can get the right screenshots. Definitely use this as our high-res photo, or high-res icon. Go ahead and put this up. So it's very particular about the size, not just being at least 512, but exactly 512, and so we're going to correct that. Okay, so a few more pieces to put up here. Save a draft that includes icon. Okay, so our list wasn't large today, but we did get all the things that we intended. We got as much of the registration Google Play walkthrough today. We fixed the remaining two bugs for layout scaling to get the game prototype working on mobile device. We got both debug and non-debug builds for the Android device working, and we created a simple minimalist, cheap to produce title screen / logo, which we'll still need to actually put in that icon into the title screen. We created a logo and icon that will be used in the Play Store and on the home screen when it's installed. So that gets us to the end of session 8, and on The next episode, episode 9, we'll be doing more graphic work, doing the final sprites for the button and the button off and on states, as well as the row, column, and square symbols that will be used to denote the special tile types. And that will include both the button and their press transition animation, so start to get a little bit more of a feel for the tactile nature of the game. So tune in for episode 9, when we will focus 100% on art assets, and on session 10 after that, when we'll be working on fleshing out the credit and title screens to make those more than placeholders.